What's up, guys? It's Joe at National Sports Entertainment, and I wanted to go into tonight's matchups. We don't have any NBA. We will be playing, by the way. We will be playing the All-Star game. I'm waiting to see all the props that drop. It should be pretty interesting. There's an interesting thing with LeBron that could happen or couldn't happen, and I'm curious to see if they do it. For hockey, all I'm playing here is I'm playing the Stars Wild game to go over. Okay, it's a leg 2. I'll show you guys all my notepad in a second so you can see them all. But I like Dallas here to cover, not cover. I like Dallas to go over just simply because, again, we're just trying out hockey. But I checked the over-unders and Dallas has not gone over much at all this year, which I found interesting. So I made the Stars a over for a leg 2. Another leg 2 we have here is Kent State, East Michigan over. And the rest of our plays are going to be college basketball. We had a really good day yesterday, and that's with being clipped a few times. We got clipped on a few, but we'll take it because we also got a leg 3 by 1 point as I went over. So Kent State, I like this game to go over. It's two teams that play at a slower pace, not a crazy pace. You see Kent State 75, and then you can see against the 63 very low there. So on the other end, it's different with East Michigan. But Kent State has been just really bad on the over this year. I think people are going to be more inclined to bet the under on this game. 147.5 is kind of steep for Kent State. It makes sense for Eastern Michigan. So I could see a lot of people not loving this over and taking the under as well. Because you have to remember, now that we're through, most of the teams have met their metrics, okay? So there's only one or two outliers. You got Tulsa, we got Notre Dame kind of. We have a couple. We don't have a bunch. So now we have to start incorporating trap lines like yesterday where Maryland and Purdue made no sense. Because metrics go out the window if you haven't noticed. Just usually not this late in the season. That you still have a team or two we could play. But Kent State, while they fit the metric, I also look for public appeal. So that one I like. Loyola Chicago, I like this as a leg 1 because Loyola has been covering. They're not as bad as they were, 8-17. But the reason I like the win, or the reason I like it as to play as a leg 1, is because you still don't have a chunk of teams finish in the 20%, and they just got out of the 20s. And like I said before, a lot of times once a team covers a spread, I've noticed they'll cover 5-6 in a row, or they'll at least cover say 8 out of 10. They go on some crazy run. Louisville's been covering spreads ever since they covered their first. It's insane. So there must be something to it. So I do like Loyola Chicago here as a leg 1. And there we go. That's the best way to do it, right? That's cool. So here. So Mount St. Mary's, Niagara. Now Niagara. The reason I like Mount St. Mary's to cover Niagara is, if you look at just the line, just look at the records, in my opinion. You got 14-10 versus 8-18. A lot of public, in my opinion, is going to wonder. They're not going to see Mount St. Mary's as the favorite here. And they're probably going to... I understand that there are people that watch it pretty closely and understand the schedules. But you have to also understand with FanDuel, you have a lot of casual bettors that really don't know that much. And they're betting on anything they can get their hands on. Now, you also look against the spread. Mount St. Mary's is 8-15. So this is, I'd say, a twofold example of my metric, okay? The one-fold is they are, for some reason, just like Maryland, while on paper the inferior team, they're getting better odds and they're the favorite. But secondarily, them dropping to 8-16 on the spread. Now, again, we have so many teams that are at the high 20s, low 30s, just not realistic in my opinion. So I like Mount St. Mary's as a leg 2 here to cover. That's for a Bulls loss yesterday. You can see I plugged in the Stars game for the Rice loss, and you can see I plugged in the Kent State over for Georgia. So that's all I'm doing. I'm just plugging them in. And then Loyola, I have them as a leg 1. Now we have Wyoming and we have Grand Canyon both playing. Now these ones, Grand Canyon I like because they are the best team in college on the over. Meaning, people are probably more likely to bet an over, especially 144.5 for a team like that. That's nothing crazy. And second, like I said, I always try and look at multiple reasons. They are just the odds of them finishing in the 80%, which a win wouldn't sling them to 80, but they'd be in the 77, 78 range. And I think it has to even out. So I think for a few reasons, between the metrics, the public, and again, historical trends. I say it a lot, but to me, when you have 30, 40 years of history supporting a trend, I'm going to stick to it. And if it, and it's held true so far. So, yeah, I like the under here. Again, it's nothing crazy, but I do like the under. Now, what we're going to do with this one, since it's an 11 o'clock game, is I'm going to wait to play Grand Canyon. You see how it says that one, as well as, they're playing Able and Christian. It's contingent on other games, the under there. That's because, let's say Mount St. Mary's doesn't cover. We'll have time to plug in Grand Canyon under for leg 3. Say the Stars don't go over, same story. So that's the reason it's contingent. It's going to be a leg 2, but it'll get upgraded for if one of these leg 3s lose, or if one of these leg 2s lose, which they might not, and it stays a leg 2. But like I said, if Mount St. Mary's loses, we plug it in leg 3. If Stars lose, we plug it in leg 3, etc. And then Wyoming covers Air Force. This one I was thinking about. This one I'm just gonna leave as a. I was wondering if I should play it as a leg 1, 2, or 3, and I was like, maybe I should upgrade this one just like I'm going to do with Grand Canyon. But this one I do like as just a straight leg 2. The reason I like Wyoming to cover Air Force, and again, the reason I don't love it, is you get games like this, and they pay the public. It's trying to find the ones that the public is more likely to be on, okay? So, for example, this game might have a better chance, a small, better likelihood of them pulling the trap over the Mount St. Mary's game. It doesn't mean I don't like Mount St. Mary's, but what's the reason? Now, this is actually on ESPN 3, so maybe not. But the reason is I think more people will be watching this 10 o'clock game because at night, there's only a couple games on, and this one's on FS1. Where you come back to 7, look at all these games on. All these games, there's going to be action spread out, you'd imagine. You're going to have a lot of people on Mount St. Mary, or on Niagara, I'm pretty sure. But my point is you see all these games, whereas later, you only got a couple games. That's why I think it's spanned out the way it is. So that's why I like the Wyoming trap a little better. They're both leg 2s, but I'm just kind of going into how like I said, I think this is very layered, so I think on many layers when I go about it. And that's just logically what I would do. If I was a shady, corrupt business, I would make sure that if there was a lone game at like 10 o'clock with only 1 or 2 other games competing with it, that I got as much as I could out of that game. How do you do that? You give Wyoming -5 here. And again, Air Force is known, they're notoriously not a great, athletic school. And Wyoming, people understand, has had a tougher schedule. But it doesn't really matter. You have too many people that just look at records. They kind of gloss through the stats. Again, they're on FanDuel. They're just trying to plug parlays. Some people, I mean, I've been there where you miss a game, you're playing women's basketball that night. I mean, so Vegas knows that there's people that do that, and Vegas knows that just the way they've been presented. Wyoming -5 is a very ugly pick. Nobody really wants to take that. But I think they do cover, so I like Wyoming -5 here. You can also see it kind of fits my spread metric, 16 and 11 versus 9 and 14. Nothing crazy about 9 and 14. But just to have, you're not going to have a bunch of teams finish in the 60s and 70s and a bunch finish in the 30s and 40s. It just doesn't happen. What usually happens is it's like flipping a coin. By the end of the year, you'll have most of the teams finish, where you'd imagine, around 50. And then you'll have about 5 or so that finish under 35. And then you have maybe another 5 that finish over 65, 70. So it's not going to be handfuls of teams finishing. So I just wanted to go into why I like Wyoming for more than a couple reasons. And none of them has to do with their players or their teams or how good they are, because I know nothing about Jake Heidbreder or Noah Reynolds. I've never met them, nor have I met Hunter Thompson or Ritis Perteris, nor have I met Ethan Taylor or Hunter Maldonado. I've never met these guys. I don't know who they are. I've never seen them attempt a layup. I don't watch college basketball. I've had people tell me, I don't follow the college picks because I don't watch college. And I tell them, I don't either. I really don't. I start remembering names after watching or after picking so many teams X amount of times. But as far as playing them, I just pick the metrics that I like the best. So I don't want to go on too long of a tangent, but I just wanted to explain. So yeah, this one will still be. So this one here is just going to be we'll just make it a leg 2/3. Like I said, it only becomes a leg 3 if our leg 2s all lose. If any of our leg 2s lose. So, like I said, most likely it's going to become a leg 3 for not Loyola. It would become a leg 3 for Mount, St. Mary, Kent State, etc. But if all of our leg 2s hit, then we'll just play it a leg 2 for one that we lost yesterday. So I just want to make sure that was clear. It is a leg 2 unless we have Stars, Kent State, or Mount St. Mary. Any of them loses, and then Grand Canyon gets plugged in for that. So this is what mine looks like. Again, we did good yesterday. You can see how quickly we can close 7 units after a 3-legged loss. And that's the whole reason I've set the system up the way I have. It just makes it a lot easier. So, like I said, at 11 o'clock, that's going to be a late game. And Wyoming, yeah, that's another late one. So we're going to know, like I said, by the 11 o'clock game, how our games have gone. Obviously, there's no NBA. I'm going to go into the All-Stars, like I said, and we'll play other things. For now, over on the Stars was all I liked for the hockey, but I'll be looking into hockey. We got baseball coming up, and we got wrestling coming up, and wrestling's going to be fun. I will say with Cody Rhodes, last I checked, he was minus 400. While I was having a little bit of Undertaker deja vu, where nobody thinks Cody can lose, but I'm wondering if they pull a trigger and actually have him lose like nobody expected Taker to lose, just in an opposite fashion. I was thinking about that, but honestly, I just don't see that happening. It wouldn't make sense as far as everything they've done. They could get away with it, but they know what WrestleMania is about. So, bigger picture, I think he has to win. And that being said, minus 400 means 4 units wins you 1, which is a steal. Unless it changed in the last day or two. Because I think by the time WrestleMania first match happens, Cody versus Roman's going to be like minus 800 or something like that. Maybe even minus 1,000. Just because people are going to start understanding. The dirt sheets are going to start finding stuff out. People are going to, even though wrestlers don't know what's going to happen, behavior starts changing, marketing starts changing. You'll start seeing things happen in storylines, and it makes it obvious. It's like watching a movie. By the end, you basically know not what's going to happen, but essentially what's going to happen. With WrestleMania, with each week that goes on, there's a better idea. It's not like football where they hide it. They put it out there on purpose. So I really do believe that Cody is going to win, and minus 400 is an absolute steal. I told people when MJF was fighting Moxley, I think it was, or Punk, whoever he was fighting for the belt. He was minus 265, and I'm like, you got to get it on him now. And I don't even watch AEW, but it was so obvious. And he went from minus 265 all the way to like minus 1,000 very quick. So I would just advise people, if Cody is definitely a good take. Yeah, I could see them pulling the Roman card in and having him continue because nobody's ever done something like that really. WrestleMania is a feel-good event. I just don't see it happening. In this day and age, I think they're going to continue with Cody. So I didn't want to, if you don't care about wrestling, that's fine. But if all you care about is profiting units, then that is definitely the best way to go about it because Cody is just, in my opinion, primed to win. And I'll go into a whole video on the Rumble and on the Chamber. The Chamber's coming up. We can do that too. That's tomorrow, so I can do that later. And how they're going to line up for the Rumble. But the Chamber's not going to... Their odds kind of already are locked. But we can still... Not locked. We can play them. But they're not going to change too much. But I'm going to look over the Chamber. We'll do that one next. And then we can do the... Like I said, we can do something so we have our picks in time for WrestleMania. Because there's going to be a lot of matches on that card. Probably at least 15. Maybe even 20 knowing WWE. So those are our basketball picks. And like I said, I would just get it on Cody before the lines move too fast. So take care and happy earnings.